Hello, hello. How's everybody doing?
Everybody's
Yeah,
good.
Good, Edmond.
Yeah.
Good, good,
happy
good.
to be here.
Great. So, for the folks that are listening in, watching, I want to tell them who everybody is. Scott, I'm going to start with you.
Okay.
Scott is actually a friend of mine I've known for a while. Scott, he's a musician, a technologist, entrepreneur. And as a performer, you'll recognize him as a saxophonist and guitarist for Pink Floyd, for Supertramp, and for Toto. And currently, he serves as the CEO of Think EXP, a live immersive media company based in LA. And as an entrepreneur, he's formed Walt Tucker Productions, an audio video post-production company that included projects for the Rolling Stones, Bon Jovi, Janet Jackson, Garth Brooks, Scorpions, and others. I can just keep going and going and going. So it's good to see you, Scott.
Thank you very much.
And then Sean, let me
Hey, guys.
Let me tell everybody a little bit about you. You're an award-winning creative technologist and entrepreneur working between media, art, and technology for over a decade. And you spent 4 years at the intersection of blockchain and music. And your passion for music was handed down by your mother, revered Scottish-born, New Zealand-based folk singer and songwriter Isabella Miller Bell.
Hmm.
An
That's me.
OG Arabian prince.
Ooh,
How are you?
Amazing, always.
legendary.
Wonderful.
Old.
The great thing for me is that we're basically from the different corners of the same hood.
Same hood.
You're a songwriter, a rapper. Folks will know you for all that work. DJ, technologist, pro gamer, futurist. You're best known for being a founding member of NWA, inducted into the Rock and Roll Hall of Fame. You're a West Coast electric music pioneer and producer of Grammy-nominated #1 song "Supersonic." You're founder of Innovate. I love that
Innovate next.
spelling.
Yeah, you know how black people spell stuff different.
But this is cool. Little I, capital N, little OV with an 8. I love that. Next Open Labs, founder of GG, I'll just call it GOAT. I love it.
The triple
Streaming
GO.
PC. Yeah, partner at Incubate Next, partner at Covitex, CEO Proper Myth Animation Studios, president of LAFTC. So happy to have all of you to speak with. And for me, like I said, I'm from Los Angeles originally. I was a little brat in music, started in classical music as a soloist, clarinetist, pianist, moved into jazz, was fortunate to have Herbie Hancock and Wayne Shorter as some of my mentors who let me sit with them and listen to them and learn from them. Went into film and television after that, formerly of Sony, got into the tech side of music early on when I was at Sony as a beta tester for DigiTools, for DigiDesign and all their product, Pro Tools, as we call it now. And I've been at the intersection of blockchain and music and just generally creative stuff for about 10 years now.
Wow.
So let's get this thing going. So today's theme is the transformation of the music industry through NFTs. And I want to throw something out to you and just have you comment on it. A lot of people run around saying blockchain is going to save the music industry. This is, they just make this blanket statement. It seems aspirational. It seems maybe a little naive sometimes at first glance, but if we look at it through the lens of NFTs, true or not true? Who wants to start that? Take that. What do you think?
I mean, I'll throw my 2 cents in. I think NFTs are the most important thing to come to the artist, content creator, IP holder that I've ever seen in my entire career. This opportunity now, it's really, I believe, everything's moving to a direct-to-consumer model. I think that's been happening. I've always say, if you want to survive, you got to build a hive. We're at that point. It's all about community and, the opportunity with NFTs for the artist to kind of control, their publishing. Because in a way, if you can think of NFTs as it's like source publishing and then derivative works, so you can manage and own all that. But it's the first time that also allows the fans, your fans now, to be able to grow with you and generate, revenue and be part of the process as you grow. So from a direct-to-consumer model, the ability to, the blockchain managing rights and all the information that goes into the smart contracts, being able to pump out the royalties, I think it is the thing, because you can't sell music anymore. Where do you sell music, right?
Mm-hmm.
It's that's God, right? It's like
Mhm.
you got two things you can sell: the experience, and you can spell the lifestyle and the things around that. But music is almost like your kind of superpower to create other things. And so I just think from a creative point of view, this is the most creative space, because when people think about NFTs, I mean, they're programmable, they live, they can do so much. So I think it could be I think it's very, very powerful for the artist. And I kind of agree in a sense that that's the opportunity.
Mhm. Yeah. Sean, you're in another part of the globe. And what do you see? What do you think from that land perspective?
Well, look, I think the global perspective is it's the same no matter where in the world that you are. We live in a truly global economy now. If I had to say like yes or no to that specific question, I'd say no, because I think it's only humans that can kind of save the music industry. But that's getting a bit nitpicky. I do believe that that NFTs can make a serious difference in the music industry. And I do agree with what Scott said. Just to build on it a little bit. At the moment, you can't really sell music unless you've got fans that are buying, your MP3s from Bandcamp or something. However, I think the NFT is going to extend to bring that back.
Mhm.
So, all of the rights and everything, the experiences, everything Scott just talked through. Yes, you can do that right now. Jump onto a bunch of NFT marketplaces and get some of those things. But I think actually people are going to start buying NFTs when they want to support an artist's music, and maybe they'll be the only person that can stream it if they own that NFT. Or I think it's going to go full circle, so we can start collecting music again.
Yeah. I know a few days ago, an artist named Latasha was selling a video. I mean, she's got the video on YouTube. She's got it out there. It's a good song. It's a good video. But she put it up as an NFT. And she got a community of people, right, coming from Party Bid to bid against a whale, basically, and sold that thing for 10 ETH. So that's an incredibly supportive, an incredible example of the type of support I think that an artist can gain from community through an NFT. Yeah. OG, what do you think? I mean, you and I have seen some of the same stuff build in Southern California over time, and you've been at the center of it.
Yep.
You've been a leader in it. What do you see now with NFTs from that market?
So I love it, because I've been in the whole crypto blockchain space since the beginning.
It'll drop out there.
Oh, there you go. Got to get people knowledgeable, so they understand what it is. Because that's the first thing. What is NFT? And then everybody's got their own vision of what it is, and nobody's right because it's all over the place, right? And then the trust factor, especially with an artist.
It'll come back.
A little frozen. He looks good.
Maybe should we keep going a little bit?
Yeah, let's keep going. I was hoping it would come back in, but just to his point, the trust factor. So people are trying to. There you go. You're back.
There you go.
So you were mentioning the trust factor. People trying to figure out what an NFT is and really understand it and learn to use it.
Yeah. Have them understand it, but also, artists have been burned so many times by record companies, by producers and managers and agents. And now here's another so-called company, because most artists can't create their NFT by themselves. So they have to work with yet another company that says that they can deliver this platform for them. So I think once we as artists understand it more, we can help grow that community. Like Scott said, create that hive to where we can do it ourselves, as opposed to working with another company that's probably going to take money as well.
Right.
Yeah.
Something that I've noticed recently on Clubhouse and a little bit on some of the Twitter Live is individuals trying to become that company, if you will, saying, I'll help onboard you. I'll show you how to get your wallet and how to set things up. How do we navigate that? I mean, what is it? I see individuals building communities. So we're going to have these little islands, but then how do we connect those islands? How do we build a greater community in that sense?
I personally just throw my 2 cents. I think one of the things that's going to really help is the concept of NFT ticketing. I think that will be a real great way because people want to go to a show. They're going to be able to get these cool drops, and these drops can have utility built into them and things. I think that's going to be a way to do it. But it reminds me what you were just saying about all these companies coming out. It's kind of like social media marketing, right? Everybody was a social media person, and they'd come out and they think they really understood what how that worked. Thinking just going on and posting or something. It's the same kind of thing right now. Everybody's saying, yeah, I can go mint something on OpenSea, but that's really not what this is about. So yeah, that's going to be a little tricky for a while, I think, because it is the Wild West, and trying to figure out who are the right people is going to be really important for artists, because you're right, they can get burned and be hung out to dry very easily.
Yeah. So, and I want to get to that in a minute, but I want to come back to that idea of Wild West. Is this at the moment, let's say, sort of a cautionary tale to artists to not drag their feet? You may not understand this well, but find a person that does, join a community that understands it, really study this and jump on it as fast as you can. Is this a cautionary tale now for most people, do you think? Sean, how do you?
I think you've touched on a few really interesting things. I think it's great that there are individuals that are flying the flag and educating others. And I think that the best way that people can come together, which we're already seeing, and indeed, as you can see from the word and the brackets there next to my name, this idea of music industry DAOs that bring individuals together that don't have a corporation at the center that ultimately need to make profit. They might have like a token that kind of drives value and helps to kind of unite everyone. But at the end of the day, it's all individuals. And the thing that's different about this, when you say a cautionary tale, is this isn't a product where you can just come and sign up, click create NFT, attach your music, and off you go. Of course, there are products where you can do that, but then maybe you don't quite have true ownership of it, or maybe there is someone dragging a bit of profit out to a shareholder or something. Ultimately, it's a paradigm shift. So people say, how can I get into NFTs without mucking around with all that crypto stuff and blah, blah, blah. Ultimately, there's a bit of education that you need to do in order to partake in the paradigm shift. And once you do, you can't look back. And yeah, I think DAOs are the best structure to kind of have mutual benefit, bring like-minded people together. And yeah, artists need to jump right into the deep end and just sort of start learning. And I think the cautionary tale may actually apply more to the fans. The fans need to look out for what they're buying. Are they buying something that really does come from the artist that they love, or are they buying it from someone posing as them? Or have they made assumptions that they're buying something that contains some rights and it's just a collectible piece? There's a lot of education there, and something like ticketing, like Scott said, is possibly an ideal kind of vehicle for people to wrap their heads around it, because if there's one thing we know about super fans is that they don't want to miss out on the show, and they don't want to miss out on those VIP tickets. And maybe it's the VIP that comes with a blockchain kind of ticketing, and that's how you first get your head around it. And I think 95% of people that go through that process will eventually go, okay, now I kind of get how this works.
Mm-hmm.
And it takes a while to get towards the bottom of that rabbit hole, but once you do, there's a bunch of great people down there, all helping each other out, and you don't really have any desire to leave.
Yeah. Are you guys familiar with Stoner Cats, that TV show that's been? Yeah. That to me is an example of just exactly what you're talking about. Fans want they want in, and when they want in, they're willing to pay what it takes, not an exorbitant amount, but something fair. And this show was able to set up a token situation where people could buy in and watch the episodes. I've seen one episode. It's incredibly funny. It's got Jane Fonda and Mila Kunis and folks who you wouldn't expect to be jumping on this so early, but they're in. They're in.
Well, you remember, think about it. If you're buying that, now you actually have something that has value. That's what I love about tokenizing it. So that show takes off. All those people that bought it, now there's a secondary market you're buying something that the fan can now have of the artist or the show or whatever it is that can have value later on, right? And that's a powerful driver. I personally think that, you know, the Chuck E. Cheese model is really going to be the model where I can just use my credit card, go in, buy the token, and then take my token and buy shit on the walls with it, right? I think that's going to be a really nice, easy way. So those companies that are kind of providing that on ramp, I think, is the key. Using your regular stuff, getting it in the wallet. You know, you don't have to go to MetaMask, download, because that gets complicated, man. I've had a couple people try to go through that, and they're just like, time out, right? It's tough. But I think that USD, buying it, buy the Chuck E. Cheese token, be able to use that token, and then you can take that and transfer that token into USD or wherever you want to go from there.
So these
really
platforms,
currency, right?
these platforms that are producing these NFTs then have tokens that they can use. People can use those tokens to get in and do things. OG, what do you think about the idea, expanding on this, the idea of grouping, like, you know, we do, I don't know, various concerts where you have multiple bands, right? How do you see this blockchain space playing into that paradigm? Changing it, making it more efficient, making it better for artists, easier for artists? What do you think? If you just had to ideate and dream, if you know your perfect world, you're going to work with a company and you're going to make this happen, or one of your companies is going to make this happen, how would you do it?
No, for me, I had some meetings with some people the other day about this, some other artists. Like, everybody's like, I want to get an NFT, I got to do this. I says, well, there's a cautionary tale, is you can't put out garbage. Just like with regular music, you can't just put out an album of garbage and expect people to buy it. They might buy it once, but they're not going to be fooled twice. So when you're building this ecosystem and trying to say, okay, this is the new way to make money in the music industry right here, right? Okay, I'm going to be fair. I'm going to make sure that everybody's involved is taken care of. That's the other thing, because, you know, whoever's at the top, whoever, I call it the magic pencil, whoever's got the magic pencil, who's writing all the information down that's getting coded on the blockchain for the NFT so that everybody can get paid. There's got to be checks and balances there too, because there's always people who are going to go, oh, I did this, and yeah, this person only did this. So we got to figure that out, you know. And once we figure that out and get the standards, there's got to be standards, because we are in the wild, wild west, just like with everything else. Once the standards are put in place, I think that you're going to see a lot of artists come to this, you know, because like, okay, like you said, now it's easy. Okay, all I got to do is do this, and I can trust that I'm going to get taken care of and get paid. And oh, if I have an idea that I want to give an experience along with my new album release, and only so many people can get that experience if they buy this, and what is that worth to you? You know, because I've been seeing people go, this is what it's worth, as opposed to putting it out there and letting the people decide what it's worth. And I think that's the ones that are going to be worth the money. The NFTs that are going to be worth money is the ones that your fan base and the people decide what it's worth, not the artist. So
yeah. You know, for my side, I'm in charge of the validation side of UREEQA. And so what we're working on is making sure that these NFTs, these experiences, whatever, are real. You know, we want to be able to go in and do all the research. So you got to research the person. You've got to research everything behind it. Make sure they're not taking something from somebody else. In the music world, I know we've had a few instances where folks have worried about and had to lawyer up to talk about, you know, hey, you used a little bit of, you know, what I wrote, and I want to get a piece of it. And so now when we start talking about smart contracts, if you add the secret sauce that I'm working on, I think that's a help. In fact, that's why I have a passion for it. I trust that it will help. What do you guys think? How do we get past this game, OG, that you were talking about, where people may put garbage out or may not put something out that's true, or
somebody else's, right? You know, it's owned by
somebody
somebody
else.
else.
That's happening so much in the visual art world.
How do you know that? Because anybody could grab, hey, okay, this is my thing, boom, put it on the blockchain, put it out there and make it. That's one of the trickier areas. I've been working actually, and I sit as an advisor on a board of a company called Reveal, who's been building this technology that's basically like a watermarking
Yeah.
It's really interesting how it's encoded into the NFT, and it's basically you can pinch it and it brings the image up or whatever. So there's hidden stuff in there which validates that it's actually a real, it's the actual one, right? So I think there's going to be a lot of tech in that space that's got to be put in place on how you can authenticate what's actually being done. So that's obviously one of the areas of growth that I think needs to really be worked on.
Yeah, there's all different different blockchains with different technology, and some of the real purists are kind of looking for that immutable blockchain, whereas as once you've done something that you just can't go back on it, there's no rolling it back, there's no permissions. And then you've got other chains that do have a permission structure. So the first solution that we built called Emanate, the smart contracts have an ability to bounce between members before they get finalized. So to OG's point, you could have your producer put up a contract and say, I'm giving 40% of this track to the vocalist, and you could go back and say, hey, no, you said 45, and it wouldn't actually get executed until everybody's agreed on that. And certain chains have the ability for someone to go back and actually request a change after the fact, because there is a permission system, and others are completely immutable. So I think the future will have a combination of these different technologies so that everybody's needs can be catered for. And there's a role for that immutability as well as a role for the flexibility, and an ability to just identify that the creator is who they say they are is really important, whether that's done through some simple kind of social media verification or whether there's a full KYC process behind the scenes. The buyer can maybe decide who they want to buy from, whether they're happy with a little blue check mark from Twitter, or if they want to know that they're buying from some association that's actually done an ID check between the creator and the NFT itself.
And you know what? Let me add that really quick.
This is going to be
Sure.
The lawyers are going to clean up.
Oh yeah.
As always, Scott. The lawyers always do that.
Yeah. And I was going to add to that, because you said that the thing that happened, I don't know if you guys know what happened with Tribe Called Quest. It was like Tribe Called Quest they're selling a bit of their royalties, and it wasn't Tribe. It was some other guys who had a percentage of it. They sold it, but they misrepresented like it was coming straight from the band. So, we got to watch out for all those kind of things as well.
Yeah. So what I'm believing is that if we get to the point where, Sean, like you said, we can go back and forth and make sure that these things are hashed out and then hashed to the blockchain properly, and then represented, would they be represented through a token, represented through an NFT? I believe they would be represented through an NFT. And then you've got something that's real. You've gone to the point where something's real, and that's the only way you can get to it. Now you don't have another individual stepping in trying to be something else or represent something else, like you were just describing, LG.
Yeah.
Sean, I'd like you, because I'm sure we all know what a DAO is, but for those folks that are watching and listening in, please define that, and then talk about that as a model that could work for publishing. And we'll get into a little bit more about the details of other monies in music.
Look, the DAO is still being defined. There's obviously there's a bit of a spectrum, right? Basically Bitcoin is a DAO, but it's probably the most autonomous. So if we think of the decentralized autonomous organization, it's probably the most autonomous example where everything happens on chain, and miners signal their intentions through through block signatures. And then you've got other sort of groups that are calling themselves DAOs, which are maybe just a Discord community with not a lot of on-chain voting. And that's fine as well. And then there's a whole spectrum in between there. And I think most DAOs have some intention of moving their voting to an on-chain process, and most of them have some sort of governance token through which they do their voting. So it's it's essentially, from my point of view, it's essentially an alternative to a corporate model. Typically, when people put money into a business, they're looking for equity or they're looking for dividends. And if we look at the music world, ultimately that can only come from the pockets of the creators at the end of the day. And in the music industry right now, about 8 to 12% of the money that comes in ends up going to the creators. So that needs to be flipped on its head. And so, I think like as a business model, it's great for any creator economy. And when it comes to music publishing, I think there's a lot of questions. It is something that we're tackling with MODA, because we're setting up a publishing entity within our MODA Foundation, which is non-profit and is entirely designed to feed the token economy and sort of feed the technology that we're developing. And what that looks like, I think it's like, as we've touched upon in a couple of these comments, the music publishing world, well, the music industry right now is such a complicated web of connections and details and databases and all sorts of different things that kind of need to be untangled a bit and simplified a bit in order to bring them into the blockchain world. But the reason that we're setting up MODA Publishing is really just to have an in-house entity, so that at least the kind of the negotiations between parties and the trust factor and everything is something that doesn't have to be worked through in the first instance. So we're creating a small publishing entity, bringing our own writers in, bringing some songs into the world, and then going, cool, well, how would we do this in a blockchain space? And that way we can have like an NFT first strategy for these releases as they come through.
Good.
So yeah, that's our take.
Scott, what do you, from your company's point of view, what do you see? Just be brief, because we're going to wrap it up. I want OG to finish this.
I'm sorry, I missed.
No, what do you see from your company's point of view as far as the utility for NFTs in the business space when we start talking about other monies that musicians?
Product, right? It depends on what you're trying to sell.
Right.
It's not one size fits all by any means. You know, it's different. Like the digital trading cards we're building out right now for Leland Sklar, you know, that's a one thing. And then, you know, the individual stuff we're doing, because we just, like I said, we just scanned a $50 million house mansion, 300 pieces of art. So we turning the house into publishing as opposed to just selling the house and the art. So there's just so many different ways to go about this, because again, I think the publishing aspect in traditional publishing and being able to have the, you know, all the smart contracts set up so that it can track all of that, I think is really an exciting space. I don't know enough about that, but I'm definitely trying to learn. But so I think it really just depends on what it is you're selling will be. It's just different platforms. Like the cards are going to fit better on, you know, where are people digital trading cards? Again, so on Wax, they got 6 million people in their wallet to do it. They're selling 50,000 packs in 12 minutes, right? That kind of stuff. That's going to go there. We may not go somewhere else. It may not work there. So I think it's just really putting things in different places.
Okay. And then OG, what do you think from your standpoint? I was on Clubhouse with Cujo and a few other folks from Goody Mob. They were talking about the different possibilities, you know, how they would make this work. But what do you foresee from your company's perspective?
Yeah. So what we've been working on is, one thing I tell everybody is we have to stop separating music and art, because music is art. So if you look at music that way, then we're way ahead of the game. You know, it's not a separate entity. It's not throwaway stuff like they're throwing away on streams. Music is art. It's created by an artist. It should be treated just as well as a Picasso or Rembrandt or anything else like that.
It's not a service.
There you go. Once you get that in your head as an artist, then you know how valuable you are. And then you can kind of understand the NFT better. So that's what we've been trying to do. Me, Ice-T, and a buddy of his, Tommy the Animator, are working on a new company where we're going to start doing some stuff, kind of attacking it from the artist side, just to kind of like be that knowledge base and show them, like, from the homies, like, look, we're not here to rip you off. I'm not the Jerry Heller. You know, I'm not the manager trying to take your money. We're just going to show you how to make your own money. You can choose who you want to do it with, ultimately. If you want to do it with us, that's fine. If not, we're just going to show you the game and you go out and get your own hustle. But we're also going to preface, like I always say, don't put out garbage, because there's a lot of garbage out there. People are buying it and it's souring the market. And, you know, there's that rumor like NFT is just a fad. They said that about a Bitcoin, right? It's not a fad. It just took time to weed out the garbage, because there's a lot of garbage out there as well. So that's what our company is doing, is just trying to be on the educational side. And, you know, like I tell people, this is really quick, I know we got to wrap up. Somebody minted me an NFT on July 22nd, right? June 22nd, July 22nd. And I forgot about it. It was like a little stupid character. I threw it in my MetaMask wallet. and I just happened to go on OpenSea, and there were like 17 or 18 bids on this thing, and I'm like, why? Like, what is this? Next thing I know, the bids were up to like $30,000 for this one stupid NFT, and I just started showing that to my buddies who were in the music industry, and they're really interested now because
It's
you know,
amazing.
money wakes everybody
Money
up.
talks, right? Yeah, I personally think that NFTs, it's currency. And I
Yes.
think we're going to find out that this is going to be in currency. I think it's going to be way bigger than Bitcoin and the crypto market, because this is, everybody can get into this. They can understand this, and this trading and buying. I mean, I'm getting gigs now where people are saying, I can't pay you, but I'll pay you in NFTs. I'm like, yeah, okay, that sounds great. Let's go. Right. So I think it's really currency. We're talking about a different way of thinking of things.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Trading like artists used to paint something. An artist would draw something for dinner, or you know,
Exactly.
Yeah. Hey,
now there's a different exchange of value.
Yeah.
So it's the first time that the entertainment value or the artistic value of something is like smashed together with the economic value in something that like can't degrade over time, can't get scratched, isn't going to get lost. And I think that's the thing, is like you can enjoy it and make money from it at the same time in that one thing.
Yeah,
That's
unless you lose your keys, right?
Never lose your keys, of
The other
course.
thing, I think, just to throw it out there for people need to really start looking at Decentraland and those types of places, man. I mean, that to me is really where we start getting, because we're moving from the physical world into the digital world. We got these two parallel things. That's why people are buying these things and, you know, saying, geez, I get to put them into the digital world. So, you know, anybody out there, definitely start wrapping your head around the metaverse, because we're doing live events with live drops, streaming live into the metaverse. And I think that's really where it starts getting very exciting, man. You're building live, real-time, two-way and delivery and all those things together. I think there's some incredible opportunities right now.
Very true. So I know we've probably run a little bit over time. My gosh, I wish we had another half hour, an hour. We could get deep into this and really
get deep, right?
We could open this up.
I want to pick all your guys' brains. I want to get man. I want to talk to OG. I want to know what you're doing, buddy.
We'll keep in touch for sure with all you guys.
Yeah, please, let's do this.
We will all get together again.
Thanks, guys.
Yeah.
So Michael, our wonderful engineer in the background who's taking care of all these things, we're going to wrap it up, but OG and Scott and Sean, thank you so much. Honor to meet you and talk with you. And I hope we continue this conversation.
Let's do it. My pleasure. Thanks, guys.
Thank you.
Very good.